to look back at this.
How does he maintain possession?
Jenkins, and that definitely was a little helmet-to-helmet on that hit.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
NFL Week 6 is here, guys. I'll be looking at 3 games like usual, one being the Monday Nighter and 2 big games on the Sunday slate. I'll provide my favorite teaser and underdog options like I always do, guys. Podcast is available on YouTube in video format if you're watching. Hello. Audio platforms, of course, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those audio platforms. Shout out to everyone. A lot of audio listeners that I've seen transition over. I get it, right? It's a podcast. Don't really need me on video. Love doing the editing though. Love providing 2 ways to get it, right? Video and audio. And of course, I have the new setup here as well. Systemsportscapping.com or link.me/systemcapping for client opportunities, records, client comments. Got articles over there. Different options on free picks. Go check that out if you haven't already. Games this week that we're going to talk about: Ravens versus Commanders. Definitely have to talk this game, right? Could be the game of the year. We just saw the game of the year: Ravens versus Bengals. This one could steal the show with Daniels versus Jackson. Excited to talk about this one. And then we got another big division game here: Denver versus the Chargers. And then the Bills game's the other big division game: Bills versus Jets on Monday night. NFL Week 5 got caught by another big upset. The only loss of the week, Seattle. And we had Seattle in multiple bets. Definitely did not see them losing to the Giants. Obviously, besides them coming back and winning the game, it was there, right? They had the field goal opportunity. It got blocked, but they just did not do enough. Giants defense, I thought, played well, but you had Neighbors out. You had Singletary, your best 2 offensive weapons. Daniel Jones on the road. I liked Seattle coming back home off that Lions loss. That was surprising, right? And now is anything surprising? Because this is a year I've never seen this many big upsets before. Big spread upsets. I personally don't recall the last time I've seen this. And for the Giants to win this game, they had to play obviously outstanding on defense. Had to make that special teams block late in the 4th there. But they had to get a Darius Slayton 100-yard game. Over 100 yards. That came out of nowhere. Right? He was not good all year. 26 yards. 33. 7. His best game was 56 yards. Where did that come from? And then they had a bunch of third-string running backs in there. No idea who they are, to be honest. It was surprising loss. A very surprising loss. So I had them in a couple bets, so that ruined the week. However, we had some nice wins to make it about an even week. What do we have here? Another 2-0 player prop week. Continued to just hammer the player props here. 80% on the year. You guys know I used to write for multiple websites for player props, and then I went on my own. We got Diggs over receiving and Kelsey over receiving. Perfect situations for them, right? When you bet player props, you obviously bet matchups with corners, etc. If you're betting that, or rush D, etc. But also you got to look at game theory. You got to look at situational spots, right? Diggs playing Buffalo. Obviously Houston's getting Diggs the ball more if you follow their game plans. And then obviously Kelsey, right? Kelsey over, it's too low. They're in the 40s and 50s, right? Last year we would have been in the 70s. And he started slow, so we take advantage of the books making mistakes. And then obviously Rashid Rice out. So he's the number 1 target over there in KC. We continue to hammer Kelsey props. We're 2-0 doing. So we also had the under in the Chiefs game on Monday night. That got there. And also had Packers minus 2.5 Jags to win their first game as well, -2.5. It got scary there. Flacco's the GOAT, right? At the end of the day, continues to find ways to improve teams' offenses, and they almost won that game because of him. They tied it up in the fourth, and then Trevor Lawrence was great. I got to give tip my cap to Trevor Lawrence. I thought he played very well, and I expect him to continue to get better throughout the year. Now, the Colts, obviously, their defense is terrible, so that obviously did help, but I still expect him to get better. Brian Thompson, he has Kirk, he has a lot of weapons, good run game. I expect this Jags team to be better in the second half of the season. Some news and notes. Let's get into some news and notes. Jets fire Saleh. Not really surprised. I'm just more surprised of the timing in Week 5. Why do it now? I don't think he's had a good time with the Jets. I'm sure he's a good motivator. Sure, he's a good coach in certain situations. I don't think him and Rodgers really saw eye to eye. And not only that, they brought in the defensive coordinator as a head coach. However, he also changed the offensive coordinator. Hackett is out. The guy they brought in for Rodgers. Rodgers asked for Hackett. And now they're bringing in a new offensive coordinator. It's wild. So the Jets are really rebuilding. Are they going to get Devontae Adams? Let's see if that happens. Still nothing on that side. A little surprising there. I have to talk some Deshaun Watson before we get into these games, guys. We have to talk. A couple fun facts I'll go over. Just want to talk about his stats and just how bad he is and how bad I feel for Cleveland. Right? 74 rating on the year, 3 interceptions, only 5 TDs. Most yards he's passed for was 196 on the year. Last week, guys, he has a QB rating of 8.5. I didn't even know that existed. 8.5, not 85, 8.5. He's been sacked 26 times on the year, guys. Is that his fault? Is it the O-line's fault? Both. He's not able to scramble like he used to. Not making decisions. Not throwing the ball quicker. And then 8 yards per drop back, like per pass. Worse than the NFL. Guys, he has a $73 million cap hit in 2025 and 2026. The most ever in NFL history. Oh yeah, and he's been the most inaccurate QB the last year and a half in the NFL. Oh boy. Oh boy. I posted that Joker meme of Joker just laughing when he's doing stand-up. That's perfect. That's perfect here. Right? That's all you could do. It's kind of laugh about it. And, Cleveland continues to look just terrible. Their D was supposed to be good. Their defense is not even good. That's what it was a little more surprising. I thought they would win games just because their defense, but they're not. They're not. Just a mess over in Cleveland. Thought I'd bring that up. And the game of the year. Bengals versus Ravens. What a roller coaster of a game, right? Both Burrow and Lamar just were on fire. You couldn't stop them. Until that big stop came with Marlon Humphrey. Big turnover, big interception, and that flipped the game. Right? Ravens were able to force overtime. Derrick Henry had that. He had a quiet game, actually. Like only 30 yards coming into that game. And then the big run, 50-yard run all the way down to the red zone. They missed that field goal. They missed a field goal before that. Keep that in mind. A field goal was missed by the Bengals to allow Henry to make that big run. And it was because it was an error by the holder. He fumbled it. So that was crazy. That was wild. Big win for the Ravens on the road. That could be a season changer. When you win a big game on the road, division game like that, down 10 in the fourth, they're usually blowing leads. This time they won with being down by 10. So impressive by the Ravens. We'll talk more about them here shortly. Power rankings. I've been doing power rankings new to the podcast. I had a few people asking for that. New team in the top 5, guys. New team in the top 5. Everything else stays the same. Houston Texans, 4-1. I got to give them a spot here. I had to remove 49ers after that tough loss against Arizona, right? Oh, there's another big favorite loss. Arizona beat San Fran. It was just due to some craziness in the fourth. Some teams looking out on the outside, trying to get that spot in the top five, in my top five. Washington, of course. If Washington shows up against Baltimore and somehow wins, they're going right into the top five. Right, 4-1. Dallas, back-to-back road games. I got my eye on you. A couple of other teams as well. So, it's fun doing these power rankings. You can argue always, here and there, move teams around, but that's what I have here. Let's hear from my friend Kristen before we get into the
For you
breakdowns.
sports bettors out there, let's be honest, you probably need a little bit of help beating those books. System Capping is a proven long-term winner against the sports betting market in multiple sports. He's built a worldwide clientele due to his high winning percentage over the years. Be sure to click the link on the bio down here to check out his profile, and you can also find out his resume, client comments, podcasts, and subscription opportunities. I'm going to be following him along too, so let's win some money together this season.
Let's get right into it, guys. Let's get right into the big game of the week. It should be, at least. Right? It should be. Washington at Baltimore. Total 51.5. We got Baltimore favored by 6.5. 6.5. Two high-scoring offenses. That's why we're seeing this 51.5 here. Right? Washington has been averaging 31 points a game, guys. First in the NFL, and the Ravens second in the NFL at 29.4. So that's why we see this big total here. Who would have thought Jaden Daniels and Washington would be 4-1? I would say nobody. But let's be honest here, right? Or maybe there are some people out there. Because let's look at the teams that they've played. This is very important, guys, right? Still, I got to give my flowers to Washington. I got to give my flowers to Daniels. He's playing better than expected. Biggest surprise of the year so far, right? Washington 4-1 and Jaden Daniels playing like how he is. But let's see who they beat. It's very important we look at who they beat. They beat the Giants, they beat the Bengals, they beat Arizona, and they beat Cleveland. All teams with losing records. Keep that in mind, guys. Right? We can't... people say, oh, they're beating who they could, who's they're putting in front of them. I get that. This will be the big test. Show me that if you can go into Baltimore and beat them, or even keep the game close, 3-point game or whatever it is, then you're going to get my flowers. So far, you've got some flowers. Let's say half of a bouquet, right? You go and beat Ravens or keep it close, you're going to get that full bouquet from me. That's my theory on this. Right? Ravens, they at least have some good wins, right? They beat Dallas in Dallas. Bengals, I know they're struggling, but on the road in a must-win for Cincinnati to save their season. They beat Cincinnati, and they beat Buffalo in a blowout. So, obviously, the resume is much better for Baltimore, right? And we know their slow start. Baltimore has found their identity, right? Their rushing game, the 2 tight end sets. Flowers exploded last game. And the D has not been good. But on paper, they have the team to do it, right? They have the players to do it. I expect that defense to turn it around. And they brought in Dean Pease. Dean Pease as an advisor and consultant. Lots of experience coaching defenses. I think that's going to help them. Remember, they lost their defensive coordinator to Seattle. Mike McDonald is their head coach. So I do think that change is hurting them a little bit. So the books understand the Washington strength of schedule. And that's why Ravens are favored by 6.5 here. I get if you're going to play Washington plus 6.5. It's a lot of points. And we know Washington can score, and the Ravens defense have been struggling. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a big performance from this Ravens defense. Remember, they can mock Daniels very easily in practice because they got Lamar Jackson. So I could see a better performance here. Am I going to be betting Ravens minus 6.5? No. But I do like Ravens to win the game. So you can look at the money line market, teaser market. But yeah, that 6.5 is very tough to get to, but I just would not be surprised if they cover it. I feel like they're trying to bait you. The book's trying to bait you to bet the 6.5 because it looks high. I got to talk some of these Daniel stats, though. We got to talk. After 5 games, he has completed 77% of his passes, 1,135 passing yards, 4 TDs, 300 rushing yards, leads the league in QB rushing. Yes, more than Lamar. Derrick Henry's a big reason for that, but 4 rushing TDs as well. He has fumbled 3 times. Keep that in mind. And 2 interceptions. So a little rookie jitters obviously there. But those fumbles actually weren't recovered by the other team. Keep that in mind. First rookie QB in NFL history with more than 1,000 passing yards and 250 rushing. Wow, right? Washington got lucky. And they needed that. I felt bad for them. They've been so bad. They haven't had a QB for years. And they got this gift. Happy for them. 31st in rushing yards allowed per attempt. Let's talk their defense though, guys. We know their offense could score. Their defense is not good. It's not good. 31st, like I mentioned, in rushing yards allowed per attempt, which is terrible stat versus this Ravens team. Also allowing 130 rushing yards a game, 22nd in the NFL. A bit better against the pass, 13th ranked versus the pass. Ravens are first in total yards rushing, 9th in passing. It's going to be a fun battle between Washington's second ranked rushing attack versus Ravens' first ranked rush D. Keep in mind though, Brian Robinson may be out for this game. You got to watch that. Eckler should be back. Robinson game time call. So keep that in mind here. Like I mentioned, I like the Ravens to win this game. 6.5 is very tough to get to. I like them more, though, in the money line teaser market. I expect them to win this game. Very tough spot for Washington to win this game, in my opinion. The rookie in a big spot against the best team he's played so far. Chargers -3 at Denver. Denver. The surprise, another surprise team with Washington. Total 35.5. Big division game here. Broncos 3-2. I did not see them being 3-2, guys. They started as expected, 0-2. Bo Nix struggling. And then their defense just took over games. The defense been leading the way. It's been very impressive. Top 10 in all defensive stats, guys. 3rd in total yards allowed, 10th in rushing allowed. Big improvement from last year in the rushing. 5th in passing yards allowed. They have a shutdown corner, best corner in the NFL, in my opinion, so far, after 5 weeks, Patrick Surtain. And Bo Nix just really hasn't been turning the ball over in this 3-game win streak. He struggled early with 4 interceptions, none in these 3 games. If he doesn't turn over the ball, let the defense win the game. Right? The last 3 games, no interceptions, like I mentioned. If you're just rushing the ball, he had 200 yards in the last game, and 2 out of the last 3 games over 200 yards. Now, he's still hard to trust for me in a big game, division game like this against a good Chargers defense. That's why I would have a hard time betting Denver here, even though I'm leaning the +3. We got Chargers off a bye. You expect Harbaugh to have this team ready to go. But the Chargers defense have been very, very good. Chargers defense has been good this year. Denver is the healthier team coming into this game. Keep that in mind. I think that's been helping them in this 3-game win streak as well. And Denver has won 7 of the last 10 and 3 straight. So keep that in mind here. I only could take the points with Denver if I were to play this game. I wouldn't be surprised if this game gets under. Now, I'm an under better. We're 4-1 on totals, all unders this year. It's just when it's this low, I get it though. It could be 17-10, 17-14, and it gets under. That's what you can see. You don't see Denver putting up 20 plus points in this game. I don't really see that, and I can see Denver keeping this game low scoring, right? So I'm actually going to lean the under here. Do you have balls enough to play it? That's up to you. Monday nighter, Bills -2.5 versus Jets. Total 41, big division game here. I'm excited for this Monday nighter. Not a lot of times am I excited for Monday nighters. This one I am. We have a new look Jets team. Right? I can't wait to see how this offense is going to look with Todd Downing, the new offensive coordinator. Obviously, Hackett's still going to be involved in it, but he didn't have the right game plan. Wasn't running Hall enough, putting Rodgers in bad situations. So hopefully Downing is smarter. I know how to attack this Bills team. You got to run the ball. Now, I usually like to attack the new coach theory, but it's usually head coach, not calling plays. So it's a little different here, right, with the offensive coordinator. You also got the Bills back up against the wall, losing 2 in a row. Could have won that Houston game on the road. They played pretty well in that game. Not really, actually. Their D played well. They had bad coaching decisions. Allen was terrible in that game, and they still only lost by 3. He was 9 for 30, guys. Josh Allen, yes. Maybe his worst completion game ever of his career, probably. I don't know. I don't have that stat in front of me, but it's definitely one of his worst. And keep in mind, guys, Buffalo, I got to stress it. They're not as good as they shown early. They beat Miami, Jacksonville, and Arizona, and they almost lost that Arizona game. Let's keep that in mind. And then they went to Baltimore, played a good team, and they got blown out. So Buffalo, they're a pretty good team, I would say. They're a playoff team, sure. Probably maybe win this division, right? Jets are struggling, Miami's struggling. So, yeah, they're a decent team, but they're not going to make any noise in the playoffs. They don't have enough weapons. And their defense has struggled a lot. Stroud threw for over 330 on them. They had no run game, right? Mixon hurt, so they had to throw the ball. And the Bills' defense has been the big issue this year, right? A lot of injuries, that's catching up. They lost some players as well. 20th in total yards allowed, 26th in rushing, 144 a game, guys. 14th in passing yards. Rodgers should be able to move the ball a bit here, but they got to unleash Breece Hall, and their backup running back as well. They got to run the ball at home against this terrible rush D. Take a page out of the Ravens game. This new offensive coordinator needs to just get Hall active in here. And, I'm going to bet the Hall over a prop here this week in rushing. I think it's low 50s. I have to look that way. Hopefully you don't get caught by dump-off passes. Sometimes he just catches it out of the backfield. That's why it's a little tough with Breece Hall. You can take total yards, but then you start looking in the 80s and 90s, and it kind of scares me away. But you got to run Hall a bunch here. That's probably my favorite play here. Very tough to pick a side, right? Because you don't know how that offensive coordinator is going to look early. It's tough. I got to take Breece Hall over, though. Total lean over, too. 41 is low. 41 is low. I'm going to lean the over in this game as well. Teaser options on the week. Last week, I think I gave out Ravens and Jags. Both those hit. However, I lost my teaser due to Seattle being the other part of it. I like Steelers +4 at Raiders. They should win that game outright. And Bengals +3.5. Should win that game outright. If they lose, probably by a field goal. I just have a hard time seeing Daniel Jones and the Giants offense keep up with Burrow. He looks so good right now. He's leading the league in passing and a bunch of QB stats. Underdogs. Always options, right? This year it's been crazy options. Big favorites have been losing. Giants over Seattle last week. Arizona over San Fran. It's just been wild. Hard to see these guys. Very difficult to see them. I'm trying to avoid betting them, but you know it's going to turn around. You know these big underdogs aren't going to continue to win outright. It's just happened it all at once. This week we have a ton of more options. I actually don't like anything this week. I'm going to be honest, guys. Dallas, good. They have a shot to win, right? I don't like betting against the Lions, though. Jets, again, are we going to go to the Jets again? I told you, the offensive coordinator, how is he going to look? But I like that coaching change theory. Bills have looked bad. Bills on the road here. 3 games straight on the road. Tough spot. Broncos, good record against Chargers. Chargers off a bye. That's the only thing here. Colts, Arizona, other options here. Jets or Broncos are going to be my favorite two here. Again, don't love any underdog this week. But I talked about, 3, 4, 5 here. I bet you 2 of them hit. 2 of them probably will win outright. That will do it, guys. Like I always say, bet smart and know your limits. Enjoy another week of NFL, and it's NFL Week 6. It is flying by. Enjoy the games.